Hey everyone, I'm Nick and welcome back to Sci Fanatics. Well, Star Trek Lower Decks, Episode 6, Season 4. Episode entitled Path Ferengi's Hard Place. This was the episode that saw the Cerritos go to Ferenginar to basically take Ferengi's application into the Federation. We saw Rutherford and Tendi posing as newlyweds in about the hospitality and kind of hotel sector of Ferenginar. Meanwhile, we had Boimler binging on a bit of trashy Ferengi TV, Mariner catching up with an old Ferengi buddy, and Freeman hosting a negotiations with Leeta and Rom in the Cerritos conference lounge to try to nut out an agreement to get the Ferengi into the Federation. So today we're going to talk about everything that went down in Episode 6, talk about all those little Ferengi references and bits and pieces in this episode and break it down for you guys. So for starters, the episode began with pretty much what we've seen multiple times over this season so far. Ferengi ship being attacked by the mystery ship. This time there's a bit of argument going on about the Genesis device they happen to have in some cargo hold on the ship. It's sort of like a small Genesis fire device and so forth. And then obviously we just go through the motions again for this bloody mystery ship. Like, I gotta be honest, we're up to Episode 6. We've had so many iterations of the mystery ship attacking other races in the Alpha Quadrant, from Romulans to Klingons to Orions to Ferengi to God knows what. It kind of feels like, okay, I've had enough of this now. Let's actually start answering some questions as to what the hell this mystery ship's all on about, because we're just repeating ourselves at this point, which is kind of getting on my nerves a little bit. It's revealed that the Ferengi is wanting to put in an application to join the Federation, and we've got Admiral and Ferryman working on having a meeting with Rom and Leeta about this proposal. Our Admiral makes reference to the Moab 4 dome, which of course is a reference back to that TNG episode, The Masterpiece Society, and we get Rom and Leeta coming on board the ship for the negotiations. So good to see Max Grodenchik and Chase Masterson coming back to reprise their roles in this episode. Although I kind of got to say, I don't think Max Grodenchik remembers how to do the Rom voice properly. I almost thought, is this a different actor doing Rom's lines? I think that that typical oh hey brother kind of voice that he would kind of do, it wasn't present. There was a couple of occasions in the episode where it kind of improved a little bit, but I think overall his ability to get that Rom voice back, obviously so many years have passed since he did it, I think he's kind of lost his mojo to do Rom, because it just did not sound right to me at all. Meanwhile, we've got the junior grade lieutenants off on a bit of a trip to Ferengi surface to do a bit of reviewing, a bit of travel guiding, a bit of trip advisoring, posting some reviews on the Federation's TripAdvisor website or whatever, to log the best bars and clubs and hotels and things like that on Ferenginar. Tendi and Rutherford posing as newlyweds, checking into like a honeymoon hotel there, very awkwardly. A lot of awkward stuff between these two. Obviously they're best friends, but also we can kind of tell there's some sort of spark there, but it's both unspoken about by both of these two. We kind of played into this for most of the episode, maybe rather than taking full advantage of the uniqueness of travelling to the Ferengi homeworld. I do like, as I said a few episodes back when we got that Orion episode, the added world building that we're seeing on Lower Decks. Here, obviously, we got to expand upon the Orion homeworld a few episodes ago, and now we're kind of giving a bit more about the Ferengi homeworld, which is great. Love it when they kind of expand upon races that we've known for many years and everything, but I'm not quite sure they took full advantage of this opportunity in this episode. We had a few funny signs in the sort of entertainment district of Ferengi that said all sorts of crazy things like all you can which I'm guessing is the Ferengi pleasure-based holosuites. We've got Sluggo Cola, Acquire Pour Homme, which I guess is a Ferengi aftershave or perfume, Uncle Quark's Youth Casino, the Maximum Umox Rub Dungeon, a movie called Latinum Lost that's now playing, and of course Loeb's Lodge, the hotel where Tendi and Rutherford are staying. We also see the Museum of Gambling
and the Museum of Haggling.
Meanwhile, Sam and Dvana are just kind of getting weird and awkward and uncomfortable with the whole newlywed posing routine that's going on between them. Boimler's meant to be going around and doing a lot of reviews on some bars and restaurants and things, but he ends up getting stuck in the Ferengi hotel room watching commercials on Ferengi TV, some trashy cop shows and witnessing product placement within shows and all sorts of kind of advertising ploys and everything, which of course we are very used to seeing all the time on TV because we're living in such a world where things are advertised at us left, right and centre. But obviously this isn't something that goes down in the Federation too much, so it's something that our junior grade lieutenants in the form of Boimler hasn't seen before. So he's kind of a bit shocked by all this advertising and promotional material and everything that's being thrust upon him. Mariner catches up with her Ferengi buddy that we saw in a past episode, and this whole section of the storyline I thought was completely uninteresting. It didn't add anything to the story. It just had Mariner picking, a bar fight with a bunch of Ferengis and talking a little bit about her rebelliousness side and everything. But it didn't really expand, the Ferengi world very much at all. I think that considering all of our characters were separated and we had them all kind of doing different things, I think there was such a massive opportunity to kind of really delve a lot deeper into Ferenginar and learn some things we hadn't kind of learnt too much before, but I don't necessarily know that we did do that. They just sort of ended up obviously poking more fun at Rutherford and Tendi, doing awkward things like getting photos taken, in evening wear and some jokes with some sort of sexy attire and chocolate, statues and things like that. When you think about it, that could have been achieved almost anywhere. If you wanted to focus on embarrassing them, and that being the main part of the plot, that could have been achieved on the Cerritos, on a holodeck program. Anywhere, really. But I kind of feel like we were on Ferenginar. Let's delve more into that, society a bit more. But instead, we kind of focused on just the relationships, the friendship, perhaps wannabe relationship between Tendi and Rutherford, without really, doing a great deal of expansion on the Ferengi and their customs, traditions, homeworld, all that sort of stuff. I think the Federation-themed restaurant was kind of cute, where we had them sort of sitting in a booth. We had models of various different famous Federation starships hanging in the ceiling, and the Star Trek musical theme is kind of playing in the background. We had waiters wearing different Federation uniforms from different eras and things like that.
There was the Megatu and the Guardian of Forever. We had a bunch of red shirts hanging on a clothes rack, holodeck arcade, and a Vulcan ceremonial gong.
But I'm not necessarily sure this kind of struck me as authentic in terms of, is this something the Ferengi would actually do? Set up a restaurant like this completely based on the Federation? It sort of struck me as a little bit not quite in keeping with what you would really think the Ferengi would actually do in terms of setting up a business, because I wouldn't have thought a Federation-based restaurant would really appeal to Ferengis that much. You'd get the occasional visitor coming down to Ferengi perhaps, but I wouldn't have thought there would be that much clientele to kind of service such a restaurant, and therefore, from the Ferengis' point of view, it's probably a bad business decision to set up such a restaurant. So I kind of felt like the whole Federation-themed restaurant thing was a little bit inauthentic as to what really would the Ferengi set up that's going to appeal to Ferengi. I did like the memorial that had the Dominion War, and then it had lost earnings or lost revenue memorial. I thought that was very Ferengi. That was definitely something the Ferengi, I think, would do. So that was kind of funny. The whole Miglimo thing coming in and almost busting Sam and Dvana up for being not married and just friends, potentially getting themselves hauled off to Ferengi prison, was like, okay, I suppose it had to kind of be resolved somehow. Meanwhile, there's sort of some sneaky tactics going on board the Cerritos, with Rom and Leeta trying to negotiate different terms of the contract and sneak things in and pull things out that they don't want and try to get it past the Starfleet officers and so forth. But really, I think them doing this negotiation, I think it was a wasted opportunity, to be honest with you. I think seeing them on board the Cerritos in this kind of capacity where they were, Rom was sort of just talking about baseball a few times. They were just going over terms of a contract. There's so much more you could have done with these characters, bringing them on board, in a really kind of wacky, fun adventure kind of thing on the Cerritos. But they just sat in a boardroom the whole time and negotiated terms of a contract. The Ferengi are a fun race. The Ferengi, are always quirky. They're always fun. They're always interesting. There's a lot of humour to be had with them. And Rom and Leto just sat in the boardroom of the Cerritos negotiating contract terms for most of the episode. So I really think that these characters weren't utilised as they should have been in this episode. It was a bit of a missed opportunity, if you ask me. In the end, the application is submitted for the Ferengi to join the Federation, but we don't know whether it's going to be knocked back or whatever the case is. They tried to sneak some terms in there about getting them to bring the Klingons on as well, which is obviously never going to happen. So whether that means the Ferengi joining the Federation is never going to happen too is more than likely. Not until at least the 32nd century, where we know that the Ferengi are part of the Federation in that particular timeline. And in the end, we see Boimler being whipped by Ferengi for, hanging around and watching too much hotel room trashy TV with different Ferengi advertising and sort of cop shows and things like that. This thread of the story probably could have been a little more interesting as well. That was potentially another missed opportunity. All in all, look, I was really looking forward to this Ferengi episode coming along. I thought, oh, this is going to be cool. This is going to be so much fun, joining them on a bit of an adventure to the Ferengi homeworld. But at the end of the day, Mariner just caught up with her Ferengi friend and did nothing. Boimler sat in a hotel room watching TV. We had some awkward stuff going on between Sam and D'Vana, which could have been done anywhere. I just think there could have been a lot more situations and characters and everything. Whether we saw Brunt, I think it would have been cool to get Brunt involved. Jeffrey Combs, bring him back for Brunt. Maybe Andrea Martin, who played Ishka, Rom and Quark's mum. She was such an awesome character on DS9 and so well comedically played by Andrea Martin. Fantastic performance from her in every episode she was in. And Jeffrey Combs as well. There's so many really cool Ferengi characters I think you could have really milked in this episode to make a really interesting, quirky adventure. But I think at the end of the day, I just kind of saw it as a little bit of a missed opportunity. It fell a little flat to me. But you guys might have loved it. I don't know. Leave a thought in the comments section. Let me know what you thought of episode 6, Path Ferengi's Hard Place. Did you like it? Did you think it was funny, or did you think, I would have liked to see a bit more stuff here and there that, maybe a bit funnier, or seen a bit more of the world building of Ferenginar take place, or whatever? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section and we'll get talking about that. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Sci Fanatics yet, please don't forget to do so. Click on that big subscribe button to stay current and up to date with all the latest Star Trek news on YouTube. And be sure to check out my merch store. Links in the description. Heaps of cool Star Trek themed, sci-fi themed t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, caps, stickers, you name it. There's a big sale on at the moment. 15% off. 15% off sale happening. Be sure to pick yourself up something for a big discount there, and give yourself a bargain and help support the channel at the same time. I'll be back really soon with my next video. I'll see you guys soon.